It's Viking time. Hey everybody, I guess I could have said it was Hammer time because today's movie is going to be Hammer of the Gods. I know my comedy's not that good, but Hammer of the Gods is the movie for today. It's a movie about Vikings. I was expecting a little more fantasy elements to it, but it's straight up, period piece. It takes place in 871 AD. The Vikings battling the Saxons, basically Norse mythology versus Christianity. The story is that the main king's dying. He calls out to his sort of prodigal son, who's the main character, Steiner. He returns, and the king sends him on a quest to find his oldest brother to basically return and be king of the Vikings and crush the Saxons. So Steiner gets set out on this quest across the countryside with his partners in crime. And the way they start the film is they arrive on the shore, they have a sword fight, and in the sword fight they have the pauses with their name in big old block letters next to them, so you know all the characters. And it sets up a really good action tone. And at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, this is probably going to be pretty good. Because like I said, it kind of in the tone of King Arthur, if you've ever seen that one with Clive Owen, the Antoine Fuqua movie. It was kind of that same tone. It looks great. The guys have cool costumes, all that. I don't know how historically accurate it is as far as the way they look and everything. But it looks good. The countryside's awesome. But that's about it. Beyond that, it's not much else. The acting's kind of subpar. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the lingo, but I doubt he was dropping the F-bomb back in the days like that. Typical quest story, but nothing really that great happens. And then at the end, you're like, oh, it's over. Even though I will give another thing, that the ending was cool. The way they wrapped up the story, and then at the end, you figure out exactly what the king had intended, the original king had intended. You're like, oh, okay. It's not that bad. But the problem is it can't make up for the rest of the movie just being kind of dull and boring. And even though there's action and sword fighting, it's nothing high level or cool, or they never take any risks or have any huge action set pieces. So it's really lackluster. But I was going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 because the way they did end it, it was a little bit cool. But besides that, I wouldn't recommend it. Stay away from Hammer of the Gods. I would watch like 13th Warrior again or something, even though that movie's not that great. It's better than this one. Speaking of that, if you've seen Hammer of the Gods, let me know what you thought. And then let me know what your favorite Viking-themed movie is below. I can't think of any off the top of my head. The only one I can think of is 13th Warrior. And maybe that animated Beowulf. But whatever. Let me know down below. Viking movies. All right, guys. See you soon.